the first thing that strikes your mind is, dear God, I'm going to die this afternoon. The only question that remains is, how long is it going to take Iowa to hit me? That's a very compelling moment in my life.
Now I am. Man, it says there's an AI companion to record.
For what? For Zoom?
Yeah. What do I need AI for? You press record
that?
And press stop.
Yeah, what's that going to do?
Robots are coming
cut out
after my
silence
job.
or some shit? Or yeah.
Yeah, come on. Silence is important. It's an important component of speech and music.
That's right. They're going to be editing the podcast for you soon.
Well, no, I can't relinquish control of that.
No. Nor would we want you to.
Actually, speaking of editing, I'm probably not going to edit this one very much. We got a late recording today because Evan and I have been busy. Well, have you been busy or just not feeling good?
I've just been sick. I don't know if it comes through in my voice, but yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah. So my brain don't work good. I'm going to be a worse podcaster today than usual. Mm-hmm. So
we're setting ourselves up for success. I've been working 12+ hour days for the past several days. Evan's not feeling the best. And we got some dire subject matter to cover today. So
we're setting the bar real low, you know.
And it's late and I want to get it out quick. So I'm not going to spend much time editing. So the audio will suffer. Folks, Rock Hard Caucus 187. The worst you've ever heard. But there's some urgent matters, so I wanted to make sure we got this out before some shit goes down tomorrow. But before we look at the immediate future, I feel like I spent some time yesterday in the past. I felt like I was living in the past briefly.
Yeah.
Because Bernie Sanders was at my place of work and I was running sound for a Bernie Sanders event. How do you feel about Bernie Sanders these days, Evan?
I still like the guy. I think he's doing more than most Democrats, isn't he? I mean, I kind of wish that it's a low bar. Yeah. And there's some decisions that he made that I don't think were the best.
Yeah.
But also at the time, I can understand the reasoning, i.e. he didn't break away from the Democratic Party completely and use his movement to start a new party, which I don't know what that would have.
Who knows what that would look like? Yeah.
Yeah. It might not have been. I don't know. I
think I don't know. This has been talked to death, obviously. Like he was the biggest national figure on quote unquote the left. And so everyone has a complicated relationship with the guy at this
point,
I think.
He's also 83 years old, which I think is...
There's the frustrating dichotomy where it's like he's the best person in the American government. Ooh. Yeah. Which is a horrible force of evil.
Right.
But he's the best one.
And his foreign policy stuff hasn't been great.
He's complete. I mean, even the Israel stuff, it's like, well, he's the best guy in the Senate on this issue. Still falls well short of what would be like reasonable to a normal person, not brainwashed person. But I'm saying that as somebody who's been brainwashed by the propaganda of Hamas, the well-funded propaganda arm of Hamas. Yeah. Anyway, it's just a real weird moment where, like, it's nice to see that he can still draw a crowd saying the stuff that he's always said for his whole career. So he's still sort of got the ear of, like, kind of normal people who aren't as maybe jaded and sick of all this.
Right.
But to what end? Like, he had like some concrete stuff to say about, like, because he's going down the list, like, Elon Musk is basically running the government now. All the shit that he's been talking about his whole career regarding oligarchy is, like, more in your face than ever. So it's like, what do you do? And basically he did this, like, mini tour where he did an event in Omaha and one in Iowa City.
Mm-hmm.
I guess specifically because both congressional districts are represented by Republicans who are fairly vulnerable electorally, like they won by pretty slim margins. That'd be Marionette Miller Meeks and Don Bacon. Don Bacon?
Yeah, we've talked about Don Bacon before.
We have. We watched an ad of his, didn't we?
I think so, yeah.
I think we did.
Those are the only two events, Iowa City and Omaha?
I think that's all he did this weekend. Maybe there's more that will come soon, but there's like an urgency element to it because like the reconciliation bill is coming up for a vote, and it would be cutting a lot of Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security spending. So basically, he's like targeting vulnerable congressional Republicans, hoping that he can convince thousands of people to harass them on the phone, and that will like convince them not to cut Medicare. It's, good, but like I don't know if that'll work. I don't know if these tactics like are really that relevant anymore, considering like a literal oligarch is like actively dismantling most of the government as we speak. But that's again, there's like this dichotomy where it's like, well, yeah, but that's like his job.
Right. Yeah.
This is the shit that he's supposed to do. Yeah. It's probably not enough.
And what other Democrats should be doing at like a bare minimum, Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you should be confronting Republicans. Like, these people should not be allowed to be comfortable in public at all.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be allowed in public.
But you can't say that if you're a Democrat because they're your buds, Like you've been in the Senate or the House of Representatives for 2 decades, and you might disagree with them about some things, but
at the end of the day,
Joe Biden ass fucking politics.
After we fight like dogs on the floor, we go and get a drink afterwards. Mm-hmm. Oh, like that scene in Reagan. When he was in the hospital, and he's friends with I don't even remember what was the speaker's name. Whatever. Go watch Reagan, the best movie of 2024. Everybody.
We might not agree on everything, but we do agree that capitalism is awesome, 100%, and bloodthirsty imperialism is awesome too.
Yeah, that's bipartisan. That's just the way things are done. So I'm running sound for Bernie Sanders, and like I'm having these impulsive thoughts because I had like a QR code on the projector for him.
Yeah,
I was like, what if I put up an image of like Luigi Mangione, like send some signals out there that he's not saying explicitly. What if I just like altered the course of history with some stupid act like that? The headlines would be a little different.
Now we'll never know.
I know. I felt like I shouldn't rock the boat too much, which, maybe that's a failure on my part. I don't know.
Yeah.
But after that event, I ran into Oliver outside, our friend Oliver Weiland, running for city council, and started plotting. So I brought him in there to meet Bernie Sanders, the senator. Mm-hmm. And we decided that we should, like, when we have an opening, we should ask him if he would like make some kind of statement about this bill that we're about to talk about, the House Study Bill 242, a product of slimy goblin man Steve Holt, Representative Steve Holt. We're kind of hoping that we could get him to like speak on that. Like if he's going to come to our place and talk about these federal issues, maybe he could like also kind of weigh in on probably the most aggressive and regressive proposal to claw back civil rights from people that has probably ever happened in our lifetimes here in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anything's going to come of that, but yeah, we did get a chance to talk to him. It was it was interesting, I told him, I basically was like, hey, Bernie, that guy's running for city council. Talk to him. I had to be annoying, I think.
Wasn't that a big part of his speech, too, is like just encouraging people to run for local offices or something?
I don't remember if that was an explicit call to action. To be honest, I was not fully engaged listening the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Which, like, when I'm working,
you're
can't.
doing work. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I can't totally pay attention. But there was that, and he was also talking about, like, getting Marionette Miller Meeks to do a town hall. Which he's not going to do.
No, unfortunately not.
There was some local media. They interviewed him, like, after the speech.
Mm-hmm.
In the basement of the theater where I work. And I mean, I didn't read all of it or anything, but I thought that this headline from the Iowa City Press Citizen was very funny. Speaking of living in the past, the headline was, Bernie Sanders says Iowa Democratic Party has itself to blame for losing Iowa caucuses.
Okay.
That's the headline.
That's
the
your
most
takeaway?
important thing. That's the most important thing we need to be talking about right now. Who cares? I mean, I don't know. I guess it's relevant to him. Like, that's really the last time he's been to the state, probably, was in 2020. So I guess it makes sense to ask him about it. But, like, does anyone truly care about that anymore?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay, well,
I mean, that's definitely a headline to rile people up.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
definitely. How dare he criticize the Iowa Democratic Party, a party that is completely above criticism and has done nothing but good things forever.
A headline that will piss off a handful of people.
Yeah.
Okay, before we dive into House Study Bill 242, which is urgent and horrible. Oh, you know what else is horrible? Did you hear that there were Nazis walking around in Des Moines yesterday?
I did hear that. I saw Molly Conger post about it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Socialist Dog Mom. And then I saw on r/Des Moines that they were actually there, the Patriot Front, wearing white ski masks, you know. I mean, it's kind of good that they're like still afraid to be seen in public with their real faces, I guess. But I don't know, man. I wish I wasn't sick so I could, I don't know.
You could have gone over there and taken them out yourself.
Yeah, for sure. At least yell at them. Like,
yeah, sure.
Fucking pussies.
Yeah, I haven't really watched like any videos that people have been posting about this. It seems like they were not really confronted in an aggressive way. And these little like stupid white supremacist marches have been happening like all over the country. Mm-hmm. I know that there was one in Columbus a while ago where people started throwing shit at them.
That's good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there was much for like people knew that it was happening, but they also
it seems
apparently
like it was quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they also did demonstrations in like Boston and like Houston.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe a couple other places.
And there was also, okay, again, I've been working like nonstop for 4 days, so I'm like aware of the news, like not really reading or watching anything.
Yeah.
But there was something somewhere where they released body cam footage of like so they've been getting in U-Hauls, these different groups of white supremacists, and just like they're sitting like a dozen guys sitting in the back of a U-Haul.
A clown car. Because they're fucking clowns.
Yeah, and then they like get in and out of a place where they march around, like try to rile people up and then bail. And I forget where this was, but some body cam footage was released where like cops like helped them and like escorted them away from an angry mob, and they had guns, like they were armed, and they took the U-Haul into an elementary school parking lot or something. And the cops just like watched them and like helped them figure out where they were going and shit. Yeah. So there is, speaking of the hiding their identities with these ski masks, in one of those body cam videos I saw, you can see a couple guys like full faces. So I think there's some doxing going on by the brave patriots out there. So yeah, if you happen to like have any footage of these dipshits like getting in and out of a U-Haul. I know that the license plate of the U-Haul, I saw that going around. So,
unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be too helpful.
I don't think they own the U-Haul.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And can you rent a U-Haul under a fake name? They probably ask for your license and shit, right?
I'm pretty sure you have to show some ID.
Yeah, so maybe if you can find like a sympathetic U-Haul employee, you might be able to leak some records of U-Haul rentals. I don't know. I found a weareiowa.com article about this. I forget which network that is, which news network at this point. But I thought something notable was that they link to a fucking Telegram that the Patriot Front uses, like t.me/s/Patriot Front updates. Like the local news is linking directly to a white supremacist Telegram channel.
Yeah, what the fuck?
That seems like a bad idea. I don't know. Like, I didn't click on it, although I am now. Yeah, it seems like this is like a public Telegram. Like, you can see all their posts. So you have to imagine they're not posting the, like, real shit in that channel.
Right.
But who knows how stupid they are, I guess.
Yeah.
Patriot Front is one that's, like, splintered off from, like, the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they were maybe birthed from the Charlottesville hijinks.
Yeah. Speaking of Molly Conger.
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully they... Oh, you know what? I wanted to read this. We got a response from Iowa Democratic Party Chair Rita Hart about the Patriot Front march that happened downtown Des Moines. This is Rita Hart. Today, a white supremacist group that primarily exists to spread hate and fear by marching with their flags and hiding their faces with white masks tried to intimidate Iowans. This group has joined protests that resulted in murder, harassment, and chaos in cities like Charlottesville and Nashville. Let me be clear, this group, their scare tactics, and their hate have no place in Iowa. And I wish that was more true.
Yeah.
I thought the word choice was interesting in that first sentence.
Primarily?
Primarily exists to spread hate and fear.
Yeah.
What other purpose do you
what
have?
other purposes are you talking about, Rita?
Yeah. I don't think that she was really saying anything objectionable there. I don't think she's that great of a speaker in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this article ends with, Local 5 reached out to the Iowa GOP for a statement and have not heard back.
I actually saw Jeff Kaufman did make a statement, and he was like, these guys are assholes and we'll always like decry them or whatever. I mean, whatever. Sure. Like, doesn't really mean much, obviously.
Standard disavowal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just happen to agree with them that all immigrants must be forcibly removed from our nation to purify the racial demographics of our state. But these guys, these are dickheads. They do it the wrong way.
What he said was he told KCCI that the group sounded like morons and that the Republican Party will always condemn crap like this.
Wow.
Okay, will they always? I don't know.
Yeah, coming soon. No longer disavowing. Yeah,
I mean, we're just mad that they're like not they're too out in the open about it, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, there's obviously not much substance behind that because the Iowa Republican Party is getting more and more hateful and open about their hate by the day. But I do think that it is a pretty good move for him to say like crap. What was the other? He called them morons. Morons and crap. Like, that's a more striking quote, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the important news of this week. Steve Holt. One of our biggest enemies. Yeah.
Fucking Goomba.
Mr. Wait, who played?
You know who stomps
King
Goombas? Was it Dennis Hopper?
Or Dennis Hopper was King Koopa. Bob Hoskins was Mario.
Oh, okay.
Bob Hoskins was Mario. And
was Luigi in that movie?
Yes, he was, and it was somebody big. Who? God damn it! I should remember this. Leguizamo.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, John.
There we go.
John
Leguizamo played Luigi. Yeah.
Oh man.
Another of the heroic Luigis out there. John Leguizamo. Anyway, Steve Holt. He has introduced a House study bill, which Keenan Crow of One Iowa, a friend of ours, called the worst civil rights legislation they've ever seen. Like, literally the worst thing that has been proposed in the entirety of Keenan's time paying attention to this stuff. So, very serious. And basically what it would do is it would strike gender identity from the Iowa Civil Rights Act, which right now is basically the only thing standing between trans people in Iowa and all of the bullshit that people like Steve Holt want to do to them, is that we happen to have this in the Iowa Constitution, so the courts are still deferring to that for the time being.
Yeah. So, like, allowing wage discrimination, housing discrimination, like, just fucking sick shit.
Right. And again, this is much broader than simply discriminating against trans people, because, like, you know, that it's, you can't really, I don't know, rigidly define exactly what you're talking about. So it's and they want it to be broad too. They want anybody who's deviating from, like, the standard issue, white man, white woman, cis people. They want people to be able to discriminate against them in housing, in employment, in medical issues, all that shit. You know, I thought we could maybe actually read some of the text of the bill, because it's pretty obscene. Chairperson Holt, and what's urgent about this is that they have a subcommittee meeting on this tomorrow morning, which they had not officially announced on the Iowa legislature website until, you know, about 8 hours ago today. They
almost like they're trying to prevent people from showing up.
Yeah, they gave it exactly, I think, 24 hours notice on the official schedule, which maybe is like the minimum legal requirement. I don't know. But somebody got tipped off, so this information was already out there circulating. I think it's the House Judiciary Subcommittee or something that's meeting on this. It's Representatives Holt, Fett, and Wilburn. Holt is gung-ho about this. He wrote it. An act relating to sex and gender, including those and related terms, for purposes of statutory construction, indications of a person's sex on certain vital records, gender identity under the Iowa Civil Rights Act, and school curricula related to gender theory. That bit about vital records is also very important, because they want to mess with your, you know, official documentation. It has to have your, like, sex assigned at birth on it, which is also a federal issue right now with passports and shit.
Yeah.
All right. The way that he defines some of these terms is heinous. All right. Sex. The word sex, when used to classify or describe a natural person, means the state of being either male or female as observed or clinically verified at birth. When used in reference to a natural person, which I don't really understand what that means. Natural person? Is that everyone?
I think it's like to differentiate from, like, non-natural entities like corporations and stuff like that, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Female means an individual who has had, will have through the course of normal development, or would have but for a developmental anomaly, genetic anomaly, or accident, a reproductive system that at some point produces ova.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, we can go back to that. And a male means an individual who has had, will have through the course of normal development, or would have but for a developmental anomaly, genetic anomaly, or accident, a reproductive system that at some point produces sperm.
I don't even know what to say.
Okay, there are... I'll say this. Intersex people are more abundant than you might think. And so he's not defining this based on genitalia, which is obviously a bit more ambiguous, but instead based on reproductive cells being produced by the natural human's body. But again, like, is this really necessary? Obviously not. But, like, you have to drill down that far. How the fuck do you know this about a person?
Also, what is a developmental anomaly?
Radioactive fallout.
I think that would fall under accident, right? Because it has developmental anomaly, genetic anomaly, or accident.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, what would be the difference between a
man.
developmental anomaly and a genetic anomaly? I don't know. Obviously, this shit is just
is he just talking about becoming trans? Like,
I was saying before that this is like very broad, but this is actually extremely specific, and like to the point of like you don't fucking know this about anyone in your life. You know, like unless you've been like trying to produce a child with someone, you do not know what kind of cells their body is producing.
Right.
Crazy stuff. The term woman or girl refers to a female, and the term man or boy refers to a male. The term mother means a parent who is female, and the term father means a parent who is male. Gender, when used alone in reference to males, females, or the natural differences between males and females, shall be considered a synonym for sex, and shall not be considered a synonym or shorthand expression for gender identity, experienced gender, gender expression, or gender role. So this bill would put into law that gender and sex mean the same thing. So why do we have two words?
Right. And
That's
like this is
question.
something like, I mean, like I don't know if I learned it in school, but like I mean, they're different things. Like it's not like completely out of the ordinary for them to be different things. It's like a pretty common like people understand that like on a pretty like base level, I think. Maybe not.
Unless
they're
like
too generous, but
willfully hateful pricks about it.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, I guess
most people
those are the
understand
exception.
That, yeah. Like, you ever listen to a hair metal band? Look at the guys singing that. Like, obviously, it's not like rigid masculinity being expressed there. Okay, here's where it gets like really, really fucked up. Points F and G here. In defining terms, the term equal does not mean same or identical.
Okay, great.
You may have heard something similar to this, like separate but not equal.
Yeah.
Or separate but equal. That's what it was. Yeah. Separate but equal. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then, that's where it goes exactly after that. Separate accommodations are not inherently unequal. Brother, we've been through this.
Yeah, tell that to fucking Martin Luther King, man.
Yeah, we can. I'm sure we can find some old statements from Steve Holt, misappropriating MLK quotes. Separate accommodations are not inherently unequal. How do you write that in a bill and not think twice? Like, yeah, I should fucking put that out there. Do you, any understanding of like the history of civil rights in America? This wasn't even that long ago. This shit was happening like while you were alive, or at least your parents were alive. Like, separate accommodations are not inherently unequal. Like, we got Supreme Court decisions that are still being upheld today that completely disagree with that. You are proposing law that is on its face immediately unconstitutional and would be thrown out.
God willing.
I hope. Obviously, things are a bit in flux right now, but I think even now, this would not hold up. Okay, and then it gets into like the really specifics of like state issued documents and like facilities and stuff. Here's a excerpt. Any bona fide religious institution or its educational facility, association, corporation, or society with respect to any qualifications for employment based on religion or sexual orientation, and then he crosses this out, or gender identity when such qualifications are related to a bona fide religious purpose, meaning like religious organizations cannot discriminate on an employment basis based on if you have a gender identity that they don't think matches up properly the way that they would expect. Literally just crossing out the word gender identity on all these different statutes. In the sentences that say like discriminatory wage practices based on age, race, creed, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity crossed out, national origin, religion, and disability. So there's all these civil rights protections that are like, you cannot pay somebody less because of this like attribute of themselves. And he's like, explicitly removing, like, if they're trans, you are allowed to pay them less.
Yeah, it's completely fucking ridiculous and evil.
It's one of the nastiest things I've ever seen. Like, this guy cannot have authority over other people. This is not a good man, a good right-thinking man. Actually, you know what? Let's get into his thoughts, because thanks to a friend of the show, Noah, I found out that Steve Holt released a newsletter just yesterday, sort of explaining himself here. He did tweet about it as well, which I assume the contents of the tweet are also in this newsletter. So this is from Freedom Watch, which is Steve Holt's newsletter. Freedom Watch. Watch out. Here goes your freedom.
Yeah. I'm freedom watching you, brother.
Okay, here's what he wrote. This is the headline. Shattered Dreams. Shattered Dreams. Why gender identity must be removed from the Iowa Civil Rights Code. So is he saying that he's about to shatter some dreams? Is that what he's going for?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think that's what he means, but he will absolutely be doing that if this bill passes.
Yeah. Peyton McNabb was a 17-year-old North Carolina high school volleyball player with dreams of being a college athlete. So we're getting into fucking trans girls in sports. That's where he's going immediately. What does that have to do with any of this? What does that have to do with all that shit you crossed out about, like employment discrimination, wage discrimination, housing? What does that have to do with kids playing sports in school?
People really like sports, and I feel like that's like the angle that like kind of works with normies, quote unquote.
It's a wedge that they've been using, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this is an explicit demonstration of how that wedge trying to present this as if it's something where there's like these little edge cases will like convince somebody that this is not a completely horrible, regressive idea.
This is a really weird edge case too.
I don't know that I know this one. Yeah,
I've never heard this, but it says her dreams were...
I have heard about this. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Okay. Her dreams were shattered in 2022 by a 5'11" transgender opponent who spiked the ball with such force that when it struck her in the face, it knocked her unconscious.
Right.
Which is like, one, there's like lots of women who are like 5'11" who could probably spike a volleyball with such force that it would cause like brain damage. Like, let's give women some credit here.
Like, yeah, especially in volleyball. Like,
yeah.
Who's watching competitive men's volleyball?
Yeah.
But yeah, keep in mind this is about a 17-year-old, and he made sure to point out that the trans opponent was 5'11". Like,
yeah, like what the fuck does that have to do with anything,
man? I mean, there's plenty of teenagers that are tall. Like 5'11" is much taller than me, but it's not like, oh, a fucking giant hovering over everyone.
Yeah.
And then he gets into Riley Gaines, the swimmer. Like, this is all shit that didn't happen here, man. You are an Iowa representative. And also, like, our fucking state government already outlawed this. You're talking about stuff that's already...
Right,
like,
right.
One was barely happening here. 2 has been outlawed, despite it not being a fucking issue in this state.
Mm-hmm.
And he's using that to justify stripping gender identity from the Civil Rights Act of Iowa. Like, because a fucking swimmer in college in Kentucky lost a race to a trans woman. That means that trans Iowans should, like, you should be allowed to evict them because they're trans. You should be allowed to pay them poverty wages because you don't like the clothes that they wear, the way they express their gender and sex. Like, what the fuck, man? This has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
My God. Okay. In response to these realities, he lists a few cases of... There is one that he lists from Iowa. But anyway. Oh, shit. That's Todd Erzin's daughter. Do you know Todd Erzin? He's the Steve Dace like co-host guy.
Oh, okay.
Gavin gets in fights with all the time.
Right.
Okay, so when you take the the Iowa example, Ainsley Erzin, when you take into account who her father is and how this is like something that he probably manufactured to make a big fuss about, probably not a great example. But, okay, in response to these realities and the belief that the rights of women were being assaulted by this transgender ideology that demanded that only their rights mattered, Iowa Republicans passed legislation by Representative Skylar Wheeler that mandated that participation in school sports be based on biology at birth. There you go. There you go. This thing that you think is a problem already been addressed by law. A few years later, I floor managed legislation into law that mandated that the use of bathrooms and changing facilities in our schools be based on biology, because he has obviously an incorrect understanding of biology when it comes to sex and gender, and also legislation to prohibit puberty blockers and sex change operations on our minor children, an issue that he has no business interfering in. All right, but here's what he says. We were cutting the tentacles off the octopus, but the octopus was still there.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, that's just like...
the imagery he pulls from.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, all this stuff before is like, oh, there's like what else do you want? I mean, obviously it's just bigotry, but that's like the most like open expression of it.
Right.
Like literally saying we need to like make trans people disappear from society.
Yep.
Which we know, but I mean, like, it's fucking crazy to just state it like that.
Yeah, he's got such hate in his heart for people who are the same as him. You are a person. They are a person. You have no reason to hate them for this. You're making shit up to hate them about. Like, they're not a danger to you in the bathroom. Or, you know, they're not a danger to women in the bathroom. Because this is all about protecting women. Women need to be protected by me, the strong man, Steve Holt. I look like a fucking wet thumb. And all the women are fucking clamoring for me to protect them. I need to save all the women. And then maybe they won't think I'm so fucking ugly. The octopus rests in the fact that gender identity was placed into the Iowa Civil Rights Code as a protected class in 2007, when Democrats had complete control of Iowa government. It's been 20 years and it's not been a problem. While most protected classes are based on immutable characteristics, such as skin color, I have long believed that protected classes should be unconstitutional since they elevate the rights of these groups above other citizens, and all Americans are supposed to be afforded equal protection under the law.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, this is like, I've encountered this before. Like, this is a not insignificant part of like the right wing, like mainstream Republicans. Like, they don't like the Civil Rights Act.
No, yeah.
And this is their argument. Like, oh, if you talk about not discriminating against people for their skin color, that actually gives people who aren't white an advantage over me. We're giving them special treatment, you know? He even, like, yeah, the way he says that is like, some of these other protected classes, there's a little bit more legitimacy there, but I also don't think that they should have any of these protections.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy about it. He's like, whatever. Like, I mean, this is kind of a tangent, but like, I hate the like it's a choice or whatever. It's like, right. Completely irrelevant. Like, shut up. Who fucking cares? Even if it is a choice, does that mean that it's okay to discriminate against people? Like, fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, you'll note that he actually did not cross out sexual orientation in his proposed bill.
Right.
So he must think that that's an immutable characteristic. So, score one for the good guys. But yeah, no, I don't think that civil rights are contingent on you choosing the right way to be. You know, like
yeah.
If skin color was a choice, you know, then you wouldn't be afforded these extra rights. I don't fucking know. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and trying to say that this violates equal protection. Like, no, I think the problem is like the equal protection clause of the Constitution is like unenforceable without some kind of like explicit language about like which people you specifically have to afford equal protection under the law. I don't know if you know anything about like the founding of the country, Steve, but there were certain people who clearly did not have equal protection, despite the language that the founding document that they were living under. They were clearly not being afforded equal protection under the law. Mm-hmm. In the case of gender identity, the impact of this elevation of rights above the rights of others is profound. The tentacles of gender identity as a protected class are far-reaching. When Iowa Republicans found out that taxpayers were footing the bill for sex change operations and hormone therapies for individuals on Medicaid and in our prisons, we passed legislation to stop it. This is, I assume, something that cost the Iowa taxpayers probably less than 1 cent per taxpayer.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, but that's what Medicaid is, right? You get, like, it covers your medical...
It covers medical procedures, yeah.
Of which hormone therapy and, you know, sex change operations, should that be necessary. That's what Medicaid is for. And by the way, you know, these are the people you're trying to explicitly allow employment and wage discrimination against. So these are people who probably will need a bit more assistance when it comes to paying their medical bills. So I guess we're going to have to start cutting, just stop letting people get Medicaid.
Hey man, that's that's a real possibility here.
We're putting more people on Medicaid. It's unsustainable. Sorry, you're on your own. In 2019, the Supreme Court struck down the law. That would be the law that they tried, the law they passed that would prevent hormone therapies and sex change operations for people on Medicaid and in prison. All right. 2019, Supreme Court struck down the law in a case called Good versus the Iowa Department of Human Services, citing the fact that gender identity is a protected class in Iowa code. Oh, here we go. He actually does calculate it. From the years 2015 to 2022, Iowa taxpayers, by my calculation, he did the math himself, based on information provided by the Department of Health and Human Services, have paid for sex change procedures to the tune of $1,950,000. No.
Well, he fucked it up because he put a period instead of a comma, but I think it is a million. Yeah, I don't think he meant to include cents in there.
Yeah, I think he intended it to be $1,950,613, but instead he wrote $1,950 and 61 3/10 cents. But anyway, we got like 3 million people in the state, right?
Right. Yeah, doing some quick math here.
You know, we've each paid over the course of these 7 years, we each paid 65 cents. That is an outrage. Like what? Steve, what's your salary to sit around and write this stupid shit? Like how much have I had to pay you as a person?
Right.
If our law to stop this was struck down by the Iowa Supreme Court because of the protected class status, what about our laws passed the last few years to protect women's sports and changing facilities and prohibit sex change procedures and operations on minor children? So this is where he just makes it totally explicit. We have to remove gender identity from the... I'm not quoting him here. I'm summarizing what he said. We have to remove gender identity from the Iowa Civil Rights Act because that being there is the only thing stopping me from discriminating against these people in state law. The courts, like, if we want to continue to harm these people, we need to remove their protections from this part of the state constitution. Otherwise, the courts are not going to let this happen. So that's why this is such a vital piece of legislation for Steve Holt, is because he has more plans to continue stripping away, removing these people from our lives. I don't know if I could hate a person any more than I do right now. This is some of the worst shit I have ever seen in my life. To have this understanding of the legal system, and for this to be your motivating the drive behind the work that you do is to hurt this small minority of people.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why is this so important to you, you nasty freak?
Because he loves women so much. In spite of the loud proclamations otherwise, transgender Iowans will have the same rights and protections as everyone else, but their removal as a protected class will prevent the infringement on the rights of others, particularly women.
Right. And literally the only cases he has cited of women being harmed is like one high school girl lost a race, I think, was the only thing he cited as to the harm that trans women are doing to cis women. Yeah, this is the part that was in his tweet, is this last part. Every Iowan deserves to have their human rights protected and to be treated with dignity and respect. Okay. It sounds like he's suddenly changing his mind at the end of this. Current Iowa code with gender identity as a protected class actually results in the infringements of the rights of many Iowans for the reasons I have already explained. Oh, okay. You're just way smarter than me, Steve. This stuff in the Iowa code that says that like you're not allowed to discriminate against these people for this reason, it's actually doing the opposite. It's actually hurting everyone else.
Yeah. I don't think I buy that explanation. Because, like, he didn't really... I mean, yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense, obviously. Like, only way it makes sense is if you're a fucking piece of shit bigot. Like...
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen this happen where, like, the libertarian ideology, like, the rubber meets the road, and it's like, well... You know, sometimes different people's rights to do certain things are actually in conflict. So whose rights trump whose? And it's like, oh, mine do.
Right.
I should have the right to do what I want. And if that involves discriminating against you, well, to stop me from discriminating against you is actually discriminatory towards me.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm the one who has state power, my rights actually are more important than yours. But it's not because I'm biased. It's just like that's actually the natural state of things. That's what God wants. Steve doesn't really get into the religious stuff in this piece, but I could read you something else that does make that part explicit. Here. Okay, yeah. Hold on. Steve ends here. I'm honored to serve as the state representative of District 12. You can email me at steven.holt@legis.iowa.gov. Feel free to do that, folks. If you can't make it to Des Moines tomorrow at 11, send Steve a nice little email.
Mm-hmm. Good idea. Thanks, okay. Steve. Thanks for the tip, buddy.
I should mention that 2 Republicans in the Iowa House have already stated that they don't support this bill. So that's hopefully a good sign that this thing is destined to fail. If there's already people breaking away from it, they can see how, like, even just like optics, it looks pretty fucking bad to be like literally crossing words out of the Civil Rights Act. It doesn't look good to do that.
No.
Regardless of all of your justifications, Steve, all those words you wrote, you just can't like get away with that. Some people are going to be mad.
There's going to be some backlash to that kind of fucking nonsense.
You start crossing words out of the Constitution like that, you know. But yeah, Representative Austin Harris and Representative Brian Lose, I did not check to make sure I was saying that right. Brian Lose have indicated they will not support this. Yeah, and these are by no means moderate Republicans, Austin Harris and Brian Lose. You know, on abortion, they're very, very right wing. Austin Harris has done a lot of Israel stuff. It's pretty distasteful, but this is too far even for them. So hopefully it's too far for a lot of these guys. Again, just the fact that it's not going to look good to do this, I hope convinces some of them to shy away from it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Public shame is an important it can be a powerful force for good.
Totally. Yeah. And it's sometimes it's very hard to believe that somebody like Steve Holt is capable of shame at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just look at the shit that he says and like his willingness to go out there talking to a microphone and say this stuff. Like, can this man feel shame? I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out. That's a good call.
Okay, so the Iowa Standard, is that Jacob Hall? Is that the guy who runs that?
Not sure.
This is another guy that, like, Gavin Aronson has a long-standing, maybe one-sided beef with Jacob Hall. But yeah, this is a piece that they put out on their website, theiowastandard.com, yesterday, which says, removing gender identity isn't about hate or discrimination, it's about truth. And just to make sure that you understand that they're not hateful, the image that they put along with this article is a little chart, like a line graph that says number of genders. From 4004 BC to 2020 AD, there were 2.
Absolutely untrue. Fucking asshole.
And what's with that number 4004 BC?
Yeah, what happened before then?
Yeah. Well, I wonder if he's suggesting that there wasn't a before then.
Maybe.
Because that's
because that is like a lot of those, Christian guys are like, 6,000. That's right. That's what they say.
Young 6,000 creationist number,
6,000 years. Yeah.
So this is also explicitly endorsing young Earth creationism.
I think it is.
So that's like Garden of Eden year was 4004 BC. Not that long ago.
Yeah.
Well, I guess as long ago as it could possibly be. My perspective.
No,
is
but
changing.
but no. I mean, if you're looking at like the history of humanity or like the species of humans, it's like a microscopic fragment.
Well, says you.
It says, yeah, whatever. I mean, what do I know?
Anyway, so then I guess only when Biden was president, there were 73 genders, and now there's 2 again. That's what this line graph says.
It would have been much better if it said at least 3, to quote Joe Biden himself.
Yeah, which is the best answer.
I will back up Joe on that one.
Still one of his finer moments, yeah. During a campaign where he was like, not responding well to any like any amount of criticism or aggressive questioning. That's like the one time he kind of nailed it. Yeah. Okay. Yes, this is from Jacob Hall. He wrote this. It's the only reason I keep saying this because it says it's by the Iowa Standard. Like it doesn't really have his name on it, but it does have his email address there. So anyway. Okay. It appears week 7 of the legislative session will provide some of the most memorable moments of 2025. So he's looking forward to the controversy this will cause. You know, when you try to strip civil rights protections away from a group of people, isn't it just so funny the way they react? This is a bill that we have advocated for the last handful of years, and it isn't because we don't think trans people exist or should exist, like the left claims. It's because we believe our laws should reflect honesty and truth.
What the fuck? That's not what the law is about.
Even if you take him at his word there, it's like, it's not that I don't think these people should exist, it's that they should exist outside of the law. The law should like oppress them, but they can still live. Like, there's plenty of outlaws out there, you know? Over the next week, Republicans supporting the removal of gender identity from the Civil Rights Code will be called a lot of things. Democrats will claim that Republicans are sanctioning discrimination through this bill. They'll say Republicans are attempting to erase transgender Iowans. But they're not. Rather than erasing transgender Iowans, Republicans who support House Study Bill 242 will simply be restoring truth. Actually, you know what? Let me rewind a second. Over the next week, Republicans supporting the removal of gender identity from the Civil Rights Code will be called a lot of things. Can you think of some things that they could be called?
I think we've covered some of it.
Yeah. I'm going to go alphabetically, you know, like asshole, butthole,
butthole,
crap hole.
Well, no, I'm trying to you can't use you can't use certain ones that are like sexual in nature. I don't think it would be right. Sure. But yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, I'm sure you can come up with your own. I was going to say
chode, but that's genitalia as well, chode, right?
Yeah, it is.
That might not be appropriate. Yeah, so you can't say dickhead for D.
Craphead.
Evil. That's a good E. Fucker. Goblin. I already called him a goblin once, I think. Hateful fucker. Idiot. Yeah, there you go. On the same page for that one. There's no bad words to start with J, though. I don't think we need to continue this. All right. I think this bit's run out of it. The truth, according to Jacob Hall, the truth is there are two genders, and up until about 5 minutes ago, everyone accepted the idea that gender was synonymous with sex.
No, they didn't.
No. I mean, there's even, like, I don't know. Like, this has never been that defined. You know what I mean? Like, there's been disagreement about both of those ideas for a long time. Like, even like the scientific, the sex idea is even that's not as rigid as you want me to believe, Jacob.
Yeah, like, yeah. It's very telling that they're like, oh, this is like a new thing. Like, this is like something that we now need to be worried about, and like not like it hasn't been in, like, just pretending like these people like haven't existed, these concepts haven't existed before. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the problem is that this became like slightly more palatable to the society at large. Like, I mean, in the 90s, like, there were so many transphobic jokes in all entertainment.
Watching really, a lot of old movies, it's like, yeah, like, just fucking like kind of crazy what they got away with.
Yeah. Okay, but even that is acknowledging that those people exist. Right. It's treating them like shit, but it's not denying that they're real, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, you know, this is making me think of something. Actually, when I said chode, I thought of it, but my friend Sam posted something while I was at work earlier about how, like, and this is a fun thing to think about. If you took every person that exists and like, think about the penis and the labia, right? Like, same part of the body, it's similar. There's like a protrusion, you know, like something sticking out.
Yeah.
And if you on one end of the spectrum, like the most penis, and then the other end, the most labia or whatever, like probably no one person's going to be like microscopically identical to another. Like, our genitalia is kind of like a snowflake. They're all unique.
Right.
But the point being,
analogous like organs for women and men, like anywhere in between.
Right, exactly. The idea being that there's like a whole spectrum of what's down there, and how do you, like, could you pick where one becomes the other if you go to like the middle of that spectrum?
I think the labia actually is a scrotum. The clit would be the penis.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And then testes would be ovaries, etc., etc.
I mean, yeah, we've got all. I mean, it's all just different manifestations of the same spiritual thing. Men and women are not that distinct.
No. Yeah. There's actually very, very little separating a man from a woman, and that's what's so scary to these people.
Right. Exactly. So that's what I'm speculating here is some of these guys, like, I don't want to necessarily psychoanalyze them, but maybe it's just that they have a small penis. And they're like, this needs to be a very rigid binary, so nobody questions that I am a strong man, despite my tiny penis.
I mean, I don't think that's all of it, but yeah, I think there's definitely
there's probably some guys like that, right?
Oh, yeah. For sure there are.
Some of the guys who are really mad about trans stuff are like, no, if you can become a woman, someone, like, it'd be even easier for me. Okay, let me read a little bit more from Jacob Hall's thing here. Okay. In fact, it wasn't that long ago that even leftists would hold gender reveal parties. I remember this being a subject on our podcast, like, very early on.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I remember, like, Natalie saying that shit was stupid and harmful, even back then. Yeah,
it is fucking stupid.
Note, the left claims sex is what you are born with, and gender is how you feel or express yourself. Nope. That's really an oversimplification. It's like, sex isn't even immutable. I don't know, man. Like, that's the problem with these people. They can't accept any any variation, anything that changes over time, it's too complicated. You're a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which, if that's the case, how could anyone know the gender of any baby? Okay, yeah, maybe that's why less people are doing the shit now. Because they thought about it.
Right.
Okay, here. I wanted to get to the religious stuff. The left's idea that gender is somehow up to an individual is illogical and based in an ideology that believes the individual is God. That's the leftist idea?
Yeah, for
that
real.
The individual is God?
Yeah.
All right, he comes back to the religious stuff because I really want to just, like, I really want to drive this home because this really has no place in, like, law. Like, explicitly. Like, the Establishment Clause of, like, the U.S. Constitution, for all of its flaws, they were pretty explicit about that. That, like, the law that governs this land, it shouldn't be based on, like, religious ideals, really.
Mm-hmm.
Or one religion over all the others, you know? Fuck, this is
and
long.
Like, it just pisses me off, just, like, the idea that, like, yeah, like, this is about truth or whatever. Like, the fucking laws are like a social construct, like, that we use to govern society. Yeah. Like, it's not about truth. That's, like, irrelevant to the law, you know?
Oh, here's the truth. I got it. The truth is that we are created male or female in his image. I mean, just an absurd sentence on its face.
Yeah.
Using the masculine pronoun for God, capitalized, of course.
Yeah, because God definitely is not a woman to these guys.
Of course not. But, like, so we're, like, both male and females are both in the image of God. So what's going on with God, then?
Yeah.
Like, the creator somehow has both of these things that you are saying are completely rigid, distinct concepts, categories of people. The entity that created all of us is both, because both are created in his image. Think about this for more than 2 fucking seconds, Jacob. It's not like this.
Yeah.
And then he does that thing that they often claim where it's like, I don't hate these people. They're just, they're confused. They're going through a tough time, and we need to help them by not coddling them, but telling them the truth.
Yeah. By allowing the fucking state to discriminate against them.
Yeah. The truth being that I know what you are better than you do. And I'm actually protecting you. It's the same instinct as, like, Steve Holt protecting the women. It's like, by harming you, explicitly going against your wishes, not allowing you to live your life the way you want, I'm actually helping you see the truth. Like you're all of our fucking dad? Like,
you're not my fucking dad, Steve Holt.
We can make our own decisions about how to live. Let's hope next week we can somehow help them draw nearer to that truth, that they are exactly who God made them to be, a man or a woman. And the sex or gender God gave them wasn't a mistake. It was, like everything else he gives us, a gift.
Oh, man.
What if God
doesn't make mistakes? Like,
God also made
except when
my
he
brain,
does.
right?
God did a lot of really fucked up shit, if we're going to be honest about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't support a lot of the God's history.
Yeah.
I know some of y'all hold God on a pedestal, but check out the controversy tab on God's Wikipedia.
yeah, for sure. God's had his hand in a lot of pretty bad stuff.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I don't know. Is it just that, like, is it a mistake that God gave us this free will? That's obviously that's in the Bible. You believe that, right? So
maybe some of them don't.
God gave me a brain that sees myself in a way that I don't quite match up with the physical limitations of my body or whatever. But God also did that, right? Wouldn't God have also put that into my head?
Yeah.
And yes, if you believe that God gave humans free will, well, why is it the place of the state to take choices away from you?
Mm-hmm. It's not.
I don't think so.
It's not the purview of the state at all.
I don't think so. Anyway, they're having a subcommittee meeting on this tomorrow. I'm going to try to get this podcast out as fast as possible in the off chance that anyone who doesn't know about it will hear this and find out about it and are able to be there at the Capitol, or at least like leave a public comment. I'll link to the page for the bill and the subcommittee meeting in the podcast description, of course. But yeah, I think that this is like the worst shit ever and really, really needs to be loudly opposed, because, well, look, I mean, even once you start crossing shit out of the Civil Rights Act, like, it's over.
Yeah, it really is.
For like, everyone.
First they came for the transgender people shit. Like,
yeah. And I mean, you should care about those people already. Like, it shouldn't be your motivation that, like, well, next they'll come for someone I do care about. But you know, like,
right.
It is like, this is like their step one, the most vulnerable minority population. And then, you know, if they're allowed to get away with crossing them out, just keep crossing stuff out until this
they don't
state
want
law matches what I like.
Any deviations from what their idea of the norm is, you know?
Right. Meanwhile, they're demanding that all state and local law enforcement cooperate with federal immigration to deport people. And, you know, I don't think they should be deporting anybody, but they're also deporting or like at least detaining a lot of people that they have literally no legal like justification for. It's just racial discrimination. And I don't remember if it was Steve Holt, but I saw some headline about a proposed law that like all Iowa law enforcement must cooperate with ICE. And yeah, just that's another part of this. Just get those people I don't like out of here. Don't give them any protections. Don't let them live a happy life. I don't like them.
Right.
It's just not a way that the world should run.
No.
Man, I wasn't sure if we were gonna be able to get through an hour with the way we feel right now, but I got kind of heated.
Yeah, no, I think that was good.
I do have something that's a little bit less something to go out on that's like kind of silly. There's that guy that died,
Yay.
Martin Graber, the state.
Yeah, that is good news, isn't it?
But what happened is there's going to be a special election, right, to replace him, and this just popped up on my YouTube, an ad for the Republican running in that special election. Blaine Watkins is his name, and I just think this is like one of the worst like campaign ads I've ever seen. And
which is saying a lot because
we've watched
seen a lot
of
really bad campaign ads.
Yeah. So I'm just going to, like, the audio I think is enough for people to hear to see like how bad this is, but it's just like it starts with an image of a phone, like a cell phone, and just all red screen and white text that says Blaine Watkins with an exclamation point and like the warning symbol, exclamation point and a triangle. And here's what it sounds like, this ad.
Blaine Watkins, March 11th. Blaine Watkins, March 11th.
This is your wake-up call, Iowa. March 11th, Blaine Watkins. Lower taxes, more money in my pocket. Republican Blaine Watkins. The radical left want higher taxes. Vote Blaine Watkins, March 11th.
Super low effort, but just like awful to listen to at the beginning. Like,
yeah,
your favorite thing, shitty alarm clock in the morning. Blaine Watkins, March 11th. Yeah, I want to vote for that guy for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't use like the nice alarm sounds. Like that's one of the like greatest things in modern technology is that they got rid of the horrible bleeding with like some like actually pleasant sounds to wake up to. Yeah.
But if you're a real man like me, you still have to have like the really nasty sound wake you up because the pleasant stuff doesn't do the trick.
Doesn't wake you up.
Yeah. I'm too strong and masculine to wake up to a nice sound, you know. But okay, even more urgent than that March 11th special election. Here in Iowa City, we have a special election. Okay, I'm in Coralville to be precise, but in Iowa City, there's a special election for city council. March 4th is election day. Friend of the show, Oliver Weiline, running for city council, running against a devious real estate man, Ross Nusser, putting up his campaign signs in wooded areas on the side of the road. Tenants having Ross Nusser signs put in their yards without their knowledge by their landlords. This is all alleged, but, you know, I've heard whisperings of this. if you live in Iowa City, I think that it's the right move to vote for Oliver Weilein. You can vote early now if you want. Election day is March 4th. And this week, we're going to have like a Get Out the Vote show, like a rock show at Trumpet Blossom on February 27th. Actually, it's more than rock. There's a poet speaking at this thing too. So it's going to be a whole bunch of different stuff. But Trumpet Blossom, February 27th. I'm going to play a short solo set with my saxophone and with some noisy stuff. I'm going to sing a song.
Yeah, you're not a rock musician, except when you are.
Sometimes there's a nice backbeat, kick, snare.
Yeah.
That's rock and roll.
Rock and roll, baby.
I am playing one explicitly rock and roll song.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Nice.
So yeah, come out to that. I think it's like technically free, but there's a $10 suggested donation to Iowa City Mutual Aid. So that's obviously money going to a good cause. So you should pay if you come. But if you can't, we're not going to harangue you about it.
Yeah. You should also give to Trans Mutual Aid Fund, Iowa Trans Mutual Aid Fund.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can.
Yep.
I've been doing a monthly donation. I do a monthly donation to a lot of different groups. And that's good. No, I don't want to give myself credit, but
no, it's good to do like a regular monthly thing because then they can rely on that funding.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
All the nonprofits and shit say that, so I'm sure it's true. It's more sustainable funding is better. So yeah, if you got money, you should give it to people who need it. And then after that, if you have even more money, you could check out patreon.com/rockhardcaucus if you need more podcasts to listen to.
We just you should definitely give more money to the other organizations than you do to us. But it's
we don't
$1,
really we don't really need it. This is for fun, but it's nice to have a little motivation to get the files done and stuff. We just finished a good series reviewing a book by Perry Johnson, 2 Cents to Save America. 4 episodes on the book and then 1 extra episode on some other tangential bullshit. But there's that, and then there's 150 other episodes of various things on there if you want a whole bunch of podcasts to listen to. Patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. And I'm going to call an audible here. We're going to close out with some music from my very good friend David Clare, who years ago he put out this EP thing that was variations on the theme from the song Shattered Dreams. And when I saw Shattered Dreams on the Steve Holt newsletter, I was thinking about that. So this is going to be from David Clare's The Shattered Dreams Variations that we're going to close out with. Check out rockhardcock.us. There's a link to submit music at the top if you are also a local musician. I would love to play your music here on the show. And with that, it's time to go to sleep.
Yeah, same.
All right, thanks everybody, and thanks Evan. Do what you can to yell at Steve Holt as much as possible this week.
Yes, good call.